The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guns up.
Let's go, baby. Yeah.
You ruined it, dude. You didn't unmute yourself again.
Well, last time Andy said don't unmute yourself until it's done or there'll be an echo. So I was trying to follow instructions.
I said guns up and then there was just nothing. Dead space. We fell off a cliff. Everybody else in the audience is like, giddy up in their cars or their device, wherever they're at. And then it's like, you're just letting them down. And they're like, Tansey?
I'll tell you what, when you get USA right in the Ghost Bed ad read, I'll get the
I've gotten it right every time. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Like, you're all over the map with your USA read. Like, I'm the guy when it comes to that. I'm doing it perfect.
Yeah, you need to go back and watch Rocky 4. Get your
all right. EK, we say hi to everyone in the comments here that's joining us live. If you guys don't know, this is the Failure to Stop podcast, and we go live every Friday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can watch the show and engage in the comments on my YouTube channel. So if you're at youtube.com/Mike the Cop, or if you're on facebook.com/Real Mike the Cop, either one platform that you prefer to watch on and engage in the comments with. YouTube, the comments are fire. There's a lot more people watching there than Facebook. So I would recommend that go there and you can, pour yourself an early morning drink, especially if you're West Coast time. And a little hair of the dog in the morning, whatever you got going on. Enjoy the show. But for those of you that are listening after the fact, which is most people, welcome. You'll hear us sometimes talk about people in the comments. It's because we're doing it live. We're doing it live.
Baby.
Anyway, Failure to Stop podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, giving us another listen on another week. This is episode 18. And on today's show, we are going to take a deep dive into what is a growing high-profile case, Officer Dages out of La Mesa, California, San Diego County, California. And our man was on what is a relatively normal encounter with someone on his beat, and ultimately has now been charged with falsifying a police report. And we're going to take a look at the evidence. We're going to break down the case. We'll let you guys get an insider's perspective on this, and we'll take a close look together. And we got a few news items to talk about along the way and catch up with each other. How you been, Tansey?
Good, man. Just so busy. Just absolutely out of control. But
you just had a marathon trip to Florida.
Yeah. I covered a lot of miles in just a few days. So but it was good, man. I got to run into some Failure to Stop fans. Did some tastings with my rum, hanging out. Got to meet a lot of cool cops. So good trip.
I love it, man. What kind of you told me that you met up with some helicopter cops. Where was that at?
Yeah, that was in Tampa. There was a helicopter crew. They say that they listen to our show on Sundays when it's slow in the hangar. And their only complaint is that we don't do more shows a week. So they were like, man, we love it when we're not up in the air and we're just kind of waiting. It's that Sunday lull. We put it on in the hangar. Everybody sits around and listens to the show. Also got to talk to a couple SWAT boys while I was down there. They love the show. They're really into it, and that was cool. And had a guy that actually did 8 years in prison. Same as Jody. He traveled like 3 hours to come see me at a tasting. Said he's listened to every episode. He's a huge fan. He'd only been in trouble once in his life, and he got 8 years in prison for it. And he's
once was enough.
Man.
Yeah.
A changed man for it. And he was just so grateful and so thankful to see us and knew all the episodes. And he's just a huge cop fan. And it was really cool because I don't think I've ever met anybody that's been rehabilitated through the prison system. So that was that was kind of interesting, you know?
Yeah, well, awesome, man. Well, good job, Jody. Appreciate you coming out like that and supporting the show. So if you're listening, hey, kudos to you, man. Good job.
That was good. It was the Tuscany wine distributors, Tuscany wine out of Orlando. They're the ones that distribute my rum all through Florida. So they had set up like all these meeting houses to get in all these liquor stores. And it was really cool because, I get to tell my story to all these guys and pour a tasting. And, I always lead off with, I was in the military. We're veteran owned and operated. I was also a police officer for a little while. And one particular guy was like, well, let's just not bring up the the police part. And this was in a liquor store. This was a liquor store owner was like, let's not bring up the whole police part. And I was like, really, why? He's like, that's a touchy subject here. And I was like, well, you know what? I don't think we're going to be a good fit. I don't think I want to sell my bottles in this store anyway. And so we just turned around and walked out. I think the rep was like, oh, okay. All right. But don't have any time for that. Other than that, though, everybody else was, super into the rum. They were super into the podcast. And it was a good trip.
That's awesome, man. I like it. I like the hard line. You don't want to support me because I was a police officer. Like, fine. I'm not going to conceal that. Like, I'm not going to change who I am so that I can sell a few bottles of rum. Whatever. Screw you.
Yeah.
Don't sell your soul, boys and girls.
That's we're all over.
That's the moral of the story.
We're all over Florida. November, the week before Thanksgiving, I'm doing like 3 tastings in the Tampa area. So I will be all over Tampa the last week of November. I don't know, man. Maybe it's that weekend before Thanksgiving.
Dang, I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna be down there in the Clearwater area.
That's where I'll be.
I know, but it's gonna be mid-December.
Why don't you just come down there with me the weekend before Christmas? Make a trip out of it.
I'm so sick of flying. That's why. But you know what? Maybe you can talk me into it. I don't know. Maybe you can talk me into it. I do hate the winter here in Michigan, and by that time we'll be there. Is it you're talking about after Thanksgiving?
No, it's the week before Thanksgiving, but there's a big bar there called Gaspers, and it's a liquor store, a rum bar, and a whiskey bar all in one location. It's massive. Wow. This is a massive building, and the guy's all in on it, man. He's all in on the show. He's all in on the product. So, I mean, we could set up a live show there at the bar. The bar is huge. We could set up right in the middle, put some speakers up, get a bunch of people in. We could do a live show from there.
Intriguing.
Could be cool. It's a cool joint. There's a lot of Tampa officers that really like us. So who knows? Maybe.
Love it. All right. We imagine a winter in Michigan. Yeah, Boston, Joe. They're not as bad as winters in Boston. I know that. Not on the coast, man. That would suck. No thanks. I mean, I don't know. East side of Michigan's not bad. It's the west side of Michigan that really gets hammered with the snow. The east side.
We have to. That's why we have so many halfbacks here in North
What does that even mean?
A halfback is somebody from Michigan or Boston or anywhere north of North Carolina. They go all the way to Florida. No, a halfback. They go all the way to Florida. They realize that Florida is too hot and too dangerous with Brian Landry and Casey Anthony rolling around. So they come halfway back to North Carolina. So we call them halfbacks. They go to Florida. It's too hot. They come right back to North Carolina, halfway between what Yankee State they came from and Florida. So
I got you. All right. Well, maybe I'll be a halfback one day. Maybe.
North Carolina's the best state, man. I mean,
I'm not sure about that.
Politically, it's not, but weather-wise, it is.
Is it?
I think so.
I thought it was like super swampy though and stuff.
No, what? That's
like in the summer, it's super swampy, hot.
I mean, like maybe you get like 3 or 4 weeks of hot humidity, and then like fall's starting to come around. So
I don't know. I'm not convinced yet.
Got the beach, got the mountains, got it all.
Well, yeah, if you drive to the beach, I got beaches too. If I drive to them.
Yeah, but they're Michigan beaches.
That's true. You got me there. There's no doubt about it. You guys can rate the show and review the show. Best place to do that is on Apple Podcasts. So we'll give the Wolf Pack its due here and share what you've been saying about the show on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate when you guys take the time to rate and review us. So what do we got here? Joey Soulian says, Metal Lives Matter. I've been able to match Eric's USA cadence since day one. I don't know why you are struggling so much, Mike. I'm not struggling. I'm doing it perfectly. Like, there's no debate about this. Like, someone come to my defense here. I mean, like, I don't know what Eric is doing when he starts saying that I'm out of cadence. It's like I'm doing it perfectly. I'm matching him syllable for syllable. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know. Austin Lavelle says, shows the humor but informative side of Cop's Mind. One of my favorite podcasts. Glad the podcast is going strong and growing. Guns up, giddy up. Absolutely. Right back at you. Graffiti Art 1011, 5 stars. Best podcast on iTunes. Amazing podcast, gets me through my night shift and commute. Wow. Is your show that long? A 10-hour show?
Speaking of night shift
and the commute?
Speaking of night shift, there is talks. It's nothing on paper yet. There's a rumor.
Talks.
There's whispers in the wind. if you will, of maybe a failure to stop night shift edition.
Are you there?
What is that?
What is what?
I don't know. What is that? What is going on?
What are you talking about? We got dead air going on here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you hear that?
No.
Oh, I've got something in my headphones.
I hear nothing.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what's going on, but an entire commercial just played in my ears.
A commercial of what?
Centos? What
are you talking about?
You guys didn't hear that?
No.
I have no idea what just happened to my headphones. I thought that was Andy being weird.
But we're not in control of your headphones. I have no clue.
I just closed out everything on my desktop, but that was extremely weird. Sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties. What were we even talking about after that? Oh yeah, the failure to stop night shift edition. Might be like a little call-in show.
We have been talking about the idea of adding a show, whether occasionally or regularly, like on a Tuesday night, like say 8 o'clock Eastern time. So it's an evening time frame where it's a little bit just smoke and joke, and add in another show for the week. It might have a little bit of a different format than what we have right now, but it would be another opportunity to connect with people. So let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. If you think, oh man, that'd be awesome, or once a week is enough for you guys, or this time slot is much better for live streams than what a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock would be. It's a weird time slot for us, right? Fridays at 11 in the morning. I don't know, but most people listen to the show. Most people don't watch the show, but we do like live streaming it and interacting and seeing the comments as we go. So
yeah, we thought maybe like a little, like a little bit of a gory, messy type night shift thing where you do some call-ins, talk about some crazy, weird calls, just kind of shoot the bull, try to keep you awake in your cop cars, something like that. Maybe not so kid-friendly, a little rated R show, if you will. All the blood, the guts, all the things that you want to hear on night shift when you're sitting behind that church, bored as hell, typing on your computer on a Tuesday night, because nothing happens at Tuesday night. Nothing happens on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's always, when things happen Sunday morning at 5 a.m. when you're supposed to be off from your long weekend on Monday morning. That's when stuff happens. Yep. All right, what's this next review here, Andy? JRR 1013, 5 stars, erotic. This is my favorite erotica podcast. Hey, man, like Tansey says, he doesn't kink shame. So if this is your thing, if it gets you going, then, man, just put those AirPods in and let us please your ear holes, I guess. Tansey, you look lost, man. Are you all right today?
Well, I had to close out all the tabs. So I had like all the news stuff lined up, and then I had to close it all out because of that glitch in the Matrix, as somebody said in the comments. I've turned the audio completely off on my computer, so I don't know. But I'm having to open up all the screens that I had for ad reads and everything else. So I was, yeah, it's a train wreck. I actually spilled my coffee this morning too. So
wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We all have had those days. We've all had them.
Yeah, indeed. All right, guys, there's a few things going on in the world of police news that have caught our eye recently this week. So want to talk about that. First is sadly some condolences for his name is Dylan Harrison from Alamo Police, I believe was what it is. If I'm mistaken about the location, somebody can correct me. In Georgia, 26-year-old officer. It was his first shift as a police officer, and he was ambushed outside the PD. Apparently, it was in retaliation to the shooter's buddy had been arrested earlier in the day or something like that. And the shooter, who has subsequently been caught, whose name shall forever be forgotten. I never, ever name the shooters or killers of police officers because they are not worthy of remembrance. So he has subsequently been caught, but that was the story. He leaves behind a wife and a 6-month-old child. So this whole ambush thing, and I posted a video on Mike the Cop this week from my home state, Kalamazoo I'm not from that county, but it's in my home state, Michigan. a 911 call. Some guy comes into like a gas station, convenience store type thing, says, get the police on the phone and just tell them I need them here. And the cop pulls up and the guy wields a knife like he's freaking Inigo Montoya and trying to stab the cop, and he pays the price and gets shot and loses his life there in the parking lot. A glorious place to lose your life. And so two times in the last week, one was fatal for the officer, one was fatal for the bad guy. And but these ambushes, it's like, geez, man, you're hearing about 2 in a week, which in the big scheme of things statistically isn't a lot, but it's still, I
think we're going to see a lot more of these just because people are criminals in particular are being empowered to commit crimes. The laws, the way that we affect arrest are all in favor of the criminal getting away. For instance,
maybe shoot up a school and then get out on bond the next day.
Yeah. And wear your gang colors when you get out of the courthouse. Just go ahead and throw on that Crip colored hat, drape that Crip colored scarf or flag, whatever you call it, out of your back pocket. Walk on down the street with your blue sneakers. Let everybody know what gang you're affiliated with after you've shot up a school. And
for the life of me, I just can't place why this particular school shooting got swept under the media rug so freaking fast.
Man. Yeah, well,
so weird. I wonder what like the one standout difference was between this one and all the other ones that get immediate attention and calls for gun control. It's really weird.
It's because this one was a straight male. It was a straight male that did the shooting. It wasn't a trans. If it was trans, it would have made media everywhere. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, we know why this didn't make the news. But it's sad. But I was in Florida, and there was cop cars rolling around. They have a beacon blue light that just shines in the middle of the light bar. And I asked another officer, I said, why are all these cops driving around with one single beaming blue light? And they're like, oh, that's so everybody can see where they're at, because the community felt like they needed to know where the police are at all times, so they're not hidden. So we got rid of all of our covert cars, or a majority of our covert cars, and our unmarked cars, and now everybody's in a marked unit, and they have a beacon blue light so that people can see where they're at. And the community sells this, or the city managers, the city mayor say this as, oh, well, it's for public safety, so you know where the cops are at all time, and it deters crime. When in reality, what it is, it's the drug dealer on the side of the street says, fuck, there's a cop sitting right over there watching us deal drugs. Let's just wait, or let's just go behind this building where he can't see us. Because if you can see the cops, then the cops can see you, and we're not going to deal drugs, because that's common sense. So what it really does is just empowered you and made it easier. Oh, we're speeding down the road. There's a big beacon of blue light. Let's slow down. We get past the beacon blue light, and then we speed back up. It just makes it easier for everybody to commit crimes. This isn't for the community. This is just so that crime can stay up and going and not interrupted.
Yeah, it's nonsensical. This kind of nonsense that's going around with empowering the criminals, and that's just exactly it, man. Like the more that we shift the pendulum that way, I think I agree. There'll be more ambushes. But one of the things that stands out to me about these ambushes that I think is important for people to understand is I liken police work statistically, and I'm really big on taking an objective look at the data, right? Because just like the data does not support the idea that cops are out there hunting minorities and killing them at the first opportunity they have, just like the data doesn't support that, the data also doesn't support that most people are out there trying to ambush the cops. But what you have to understand is when you're navigating your career as a cop, if you look at your career from start to finish across like a football field, and you're basically saying like, listen, there's 10,000 mines planted in this football field under the ground. Only one of them is active. Like only one of them is alive and will blow you to pieces. Okay, I'll see you on the other side in 25 years. See you over there. Good luck. You're kind of like, well, I mean, the odds are I could probably just sprint right down the middle and I'll make it. But in the back of your mind, you're always kind of like, well, there is that one, and I got to be ready for that one. I have to be smart about how I'm conducting myself. And so a lot of times the criticism of cops is that they can be standoffish, or that they can be, that cop wasn't like smiling at me or being super jovial, happy-go-lucky. But a lot of times cops, when they're entering a situation that is unknown to them. They're taking in a lot of information basically to process. Okay, what are the potential pitfalls of this scenario? What are the things that I need to be aware of? And it takes them a while sometimes to acclimate to that circumstance, to be ready to engage like a normal human, because they have to make sure that, oh, okay, cool. Everybody here is cool. The situation is fine for me to be able to sort of like let my guard down a little bit and be more normal human interaction, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I always say you've got to go at every scenario as this guy can punch your teeth in or this girl can punch your teeth in. And until they prove that they're not going to, then you kind of let your guard down. You can't go in it the other way because then you're just reacting. But I think you're going to see a lot more of these ambushes, especially when criminals see other criminals walking out of a courthouse wearing their gang colors. That empowers them, right? And so like we see kind of what's going on the other side of the fence, where it's like you've got 10,000 people walking off of John Deere, for whatever reason, for pay issues, for mandates. You got the Southwest thing. As more people start to see these things, they get empowered, right? They get empowered. They're like, okay, well, now I can't. Now I'm going to walk off. Matter of fact, 2 soldiers reached out to me this week, 2 special operators, very high-ranking NCOs that have been special forces guys for a very long time. They came into my bar and they were like, dude, we're guns up, giddy up. Hey, he's like, I just lost my contract. A private contract that he has working with a SEAL team for an intel purpose. And they said, dude, if you're contracting with us, you gotta be vaxxed. And he was like, well, I'll lose that contract. It's $75,000 every 3 months. He gave that up. And there's more and more people doing that. But these criminals, they're seeing criminals getting let off, and that's empowering them to go ahead and ramp things up. So with all the lawlessness going on right now, with all the stuff going on in the media, with all these mandates that shouldn't be mandates and all these policies that shouldn't be policies. I mean, we were going to talk about this one. I guess we'll go ahead. But Columbus, the city of Columbus, they just made a new policy that you cannot get on social media if you're a city employee and say anything negative about the city or its operations. I think that is, I don't know what your take is on it, Mike. I think it's a huge violation of First Amendment rights.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that for years I have just basically said what I wanted on the internet, I'm not a hard sell on the value of First Amendment rights for everyone. Like, and that was a popular thing that really became an issue back in like 2016 with the presidential election. A lot of cities cracking down on an officer's private Facebook profile, right? We're not talking about even public profile, right? It's like, because you can change your settings on Facebook to where like no one can even friend request you. Like you have to be the one to initiate it. So no one is seeing your stuff that hasn't basically agreed to see your stuff. And people saying these departments or cities saying, oh, you can't say one thing or the other about political candidates on your Facebook page because you're a city employee. And yeah, while I'm in uniform and I'm enforcing the law in whatever jurisdiction I'm in, I can't decide, to not take you to jail because you have a Biden bumper sticker versus take you to jail if you have a MAGA hat on or whatever the case is. Yes, I can't allow politics to color my law enforcement decisions. And I can't lobby for someone in particular for a political party while in uniform, but on my own personal time that you're not paying for. You don't own my life. That I want to express my opinion. I'm a huge believer that that's a First Amendment issue, and city of Columbus, be damned.
Right. The policy reads, feelings and opinions. This is a quote from the policy. Feelings and opinions that may be perceived as negative about the city, because those statements could be mistaken for official expressions of city policy or position. Here's another quote. This was from the city in regards to the union kind of pushing back on this. It says CPD officers and firefighters have many policies that are specific to their line of work. They are the most public-facing employees out in the community and those who are the most recognized and put in a position of trust. Over the past year, there have been various incidents of questionable social media use and public statements by Department of Safety employees that have led to complaints and investigations and underscored the need for a more comprehensive policy. So what they're saying is that they were whistleblowers that came out, and the public was like, well, that doesn't seem right. Let's go ahead and file an official complaint. And it's giving the higher ups and the politicians of the police department a hard time. So let's go ahead and nip that in the butt and take away their freedom to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Let's cut off an avenue. Jacob says, well, Mike, you can't unless you're a chief supporting whoever the mayor supports. Yeah, I mean, you cut off the very avenue that makes this place historically what it is, the ability to have freedom of expression, freedom of speech. I mean, it is the cornerstone of our society. When we begin, and some people are like, well, I mean, you're signing up and choosing to take this job. The policies and procedures are there. You're saying, I want to do that. Okay, well, let's say that that's the case. Well, now the policy's changed. This obviously isn't a democratic process, but do you not see the problem when a government entity, okay, is telling its employees you don't have the freedom of speech in your personal lives? So this is not an issue of when you're at work, you're being hired to do this job. You're not being hired to, and I totally get this, right? Like if you're a cop and you're making TikToks on duty or you're making social media content while you're working, hey, that's on you, man, right? Like you're not being the citizens of that community. They're not paying you to do that. Now, if your department, as a matter of structure and course of how it's leveraging social media with its community, is encouraging you to do that, well, great. If your community is cool with that, that's fine. But I can see the argument being made by some cities saying the reason we want you off, so we don't want you doing social media while you're working. We want you doing this list of things that we expect and the citizens expect you to do when you're working. That's fine. But we're not talking, and we're not talking about, I clock in, I get my uniform on, and then I go out to a Trump rally and I stand there with a flag. I don't support that happening either. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about my own private expression as a citizen of this country, and a government agency telling me that they are now unilaterally, without my say-so, without any input, without any due process, going to tell me that in my own private time, in my own private social media accounts, that I can't say what I feel or what I think. You're going to restrict that. That's contrary to everything that this country was founded on. I reject it outright, and I would completely welcome that opportunity. I mean, obviously, I'm not in that situation anymore, but that is the exact kind of thing that I would 100% challenge as an officer.
And I think with the mandates that are coming down, which is unprecedented, right? Like we haven't seen this rapid decay of freedom ever, not in my life. I've never seen this. I've always kind of been on the opinion, it doesn't matter who the president is, we're going to work things out as a country. This is the first time in my life that I've been actually afraid for where the country is going. I'm not blaming this on any particular presidents. I'm blaming it. I'm blaming
this administration.
I'm blaming it on, but it's been decaying.
No, it has been. You're right.
In the last 4 or 5 years, where when
Let's
Trump
go,
was
Brandon.
when Trump was in office, our department was trying to discourage everybody from having Trump stickers on their cars, saying that it doesn't look good to the public and that you shouldn't have political affiliated stickers on your vehicle. I've always agreed with you shouldn't have politically. You shouldn't put stickers on your vehicle anyway, celebrating any particular politician, because I think all politicians are not good human beings. You vote for who you have to
you got
for.
your friendly fire department listening today, that you're trying to keep it PG.
You're
saving the YouTube channel too.
Yeah, shout out to Alan Wilford.
And Chrissy Dages is in the backstage area watching the show, listening too. So you're not going to drop the C word while she's watching anyway. So
well, if you're going to dare me to, I will. But so
you won't do it. You won't say it, Tansey.
Give me a
scared
second.
Son of a bitch.
You give me a second. But I'm going to now. But what I'm saying is that businesses have been coming down hard on their employees, telling them what they can and can't do in their own lives, in their own times. People are pushing on your freedoms. The military is doing it. The police departments are doing it. Fire departments are doing it. Nurses, we see it firsthand. there was a silent majority for a very long time that was just trying to like, we're just dealing with things, right? We're dealing with people burning down gas stations owned by Indians, right? Like we have a Black Lives Matter movement, but we're throwing bricks and Molotov cocktails through an Indian's gas station. It has nothing to do with systemic racism or anything. And we're watching these things kind of unfold, and we're all just kind of being quiet about it. Well, now we're not being so quiet anymore. We have been pushed so far that so many cops and nurses are starting to push back. The media is trying to keep it off of the news, but it's not working. There's viral videos going out every single day. You had the Southwest thing, and they were trying to blame it on all sorts of things.
Weather.
Oh, this wasn't. Yeah, this was weather. But they can't think we're not that stupid, and they can't keep trying to trick us for so long. And so I'm really excited. And it's been cool to see it from our point of view, because we get these messages on our phones and our social media. And the uptick in the last 2 weeks has got to be up like 200%. And email messages of people that and it's this attitude of empowerment. Like, well, my department just said that. And so, there's 3 of us there. We're walking out. We're not going to do it. Raleigh Police Department, they are suing the city. They're trying to put a suit going forward about this mandate, vaccine mandate. Now you see this thing with the whole social media. I bet you're going to see officers in Columbus are going to push that tightrope. They're going to push on that. They're going to make some posts, and they're going to want to be fired. Major Shugart, is that his name? Shugart?
I have no idea.
Scheller. I can't remember his name, but the Marine that was in the brig for speaking out on leadership of the Marine Corps. Whistleblowers, they're coming out everywhere. They're coming out every day. We're actually seeing this thing with this case that we're about to break down here shortly with Officer Dages. The department was like, well, we'll push this aside because we've been silent for so long, right? Officers get fired. And we're just like, well, that sucks to be him. But now we're doing it like on an unprecedented level, and the officers are pushing back. How many emails did we get about this case since August?
A lot. So they're not going to take it. They're like, this guy was falsely accused of something. He was falsely fired for something, and we're not going to take it. We're going to reach out to every media platform. We're going to blow this thing out of the water, and it made it to us, and then we're going to review it and see what our take is on it. But really interesting where things are going. The other thing that popped up on our radar this week, and I did do a quick video on it, so if you want to see it, it's out there, on this paraplegic in Dayton, Ohio, that left a drug house and had $22,000 of dope money in his car. So he got pulled over by Dayton cops. And so let me explain how this works, guys. So you have officers sitting on a known drug house, and you don't just pull the bad guy over and say, we stopped you because you were coming from a drug house, right? Sometimes there are warrants that are issued that allow you to do that in terms of like a blanket operation, and it's a very comprehensive thing. But very often you use what is called a pretext stop if officers are aware of a high volume of activity. So there's a progression to these things. Before something becomes like this full-blown execution of warrants and all that stuff, there's a progression that happens in law enforcement when it comes to this kind of thing, where a drug house in a community. So where it starts is usually like neighbors, community members reaching out to the cops, whether they have an anonymous line or whether they call, whatever the case is, they make contact and they say, listen, there's a lot of activity at weird hours of the day, people coming and going. They don't stay long. Someone walks out and meets a car and they drive off. This is happening all the time. It's suspicious to me. And so they start watching the activity. They start driving by this house more often. And usually that takes the form of like at the start of your shift, they've taken that information, and maybe a sergeant that is leading your roll call or whatever is like, all right, guys, hey, we have this reported possible, narcotics or whatever activity at this address. So make some extra attempts and log those for us, or something like that, to where the officers are driving by, they put in their CAD notes or they put in their written log, whatever the case is for your department, that they did that. And what they're starting to do is just they're building a case, right? In case anything develops out of this, they're building information on this that will later subsequently be used for things like a warrant or a more comprehensive reason for pulling people over, leaving the location. But absent a warrant that allows that, then there has to be a reason for the stop. when someone is leaving a possible drug house or whatever. So it's called a pretext stop. So in this case, the guy stopped because of his window tint. And in the course of that, a canine is going to sweep this vehicle, and they tell the guy he can't be in the car for the canine sweep. And he's like, I'm not getting out of the car. My legs don't work. Basically, I'm a paraplegic. All right, cool. Well, we'll help you. No, you won't. And they're like, yeah, we will. You have to get out of the car. This is going to happen, and we will help you get from your vehicle to, ours or wherever. We'll help you out of the car. No, you won't. I'm getting somebody on the line. This is going to be a lawsuit. I'm not going anywhere. And so the cops ultimately forcibly take him from the vehicle because he wouldn't let them help him out of the vehicle. And so the media, of course, shows a paraplegic getting drugged by the cops to a cop car and shows just that clip and none of the part of the body cam footage where this guy is a complete douchebag. And of course, the media plays on the sentimentality of someone who has legs that don't work, although no one's really asking the $1 million question, how the heck did this no working leg guy get into the car in the first place then? Did Freddie the dope man, sling him over his shoulder and drop him off back in his car? What's going on here? There's a lot of questions to be asked. But did you have any thoughts on that story, Tansey?
I mean, again, we're empowering people to commit crimes more easily by having these viral videos, by making a big deal out of these things. I mean, this paraplegic dude, we have one who was shot in a drive-by shooting. He's a gang member. He's a known gang member. He got shot. He ended up in a wheelchair. The man never stopped. He deals drugs. He goes to the Lincoln Theater.
Can't stop, won't stop.
And he deals drugs.
In another life, he'd have been a great member of the Wolfpack.
He wears all of his gang affiliated colors. I mean, this is a bad human being. This is a guy that endorses violence on women. He endorses, he kind of pumps it up, right? He gets people excited to do bad things to other people because he's in a wheelchair and he can't do it. And he's an example to these younger kids, and they think he's so cool because he got shot and he's in a wheelchair. And I've had to pull him out of that wheelchair and search his wheelchair before, and he wasn't happy about it. Luckily for us back then, there was no viral videos or anything like that. But, if we make it easy for this, like, we just, he's a paraplegic and the cops are automatically wrong, and let's make a viral video. I mean, I had so many messages on that video when it first came out from people like, oh, what about these dirtbag cops, without even looking at any of the information first. Like, it's just an automatic dirtbag cop. And then when I watch the whole footage, I'm like, no, this guy was an asshole. This guy was a dirtbag. Like, this dude had been up to no good, or had just done something that he shouldn't have done, or probably has something still in his car, and he's resisting the officers. He's got what coming to him. So he got what was coming to him.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going soft as a society on criminals. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it unfold. That's one of the things that all these stories have in common that we've talked about. The ambushes happening on officers, policy changes, restricting officers' rights in their off time, the criticism of cops doing their job on a traffic stop, regardless of the person's abilities or disabilities. All of these things happening. It's this shift to say, no, we really, and I don't know. Let me play the devil's advocate for a second on this. People are innocent until proven guilty. So why shouldn't that paraplegic be afforded the opportunity to stay in his car like he wants? What do you think there, Tansey? That's a common pushback. Oh, he's automatically guilty because he left this one particular place, so he's going to get treated that way?
No, I think it's the totality of the circumstances. So he left that certain place. Was there an aroma coming from the car? Is there an odor? Is there a past history with this paraplegic? I mean, these people in your area, right? Like, how these people, you have a rapport with the community. You've seen this car many times. You've probably pulled that guy over. They know who this guy is. I guarantee you they know who this guy was. You can't do a canine search with somebody sitting in a car, right?
Well,
that would be ridiculous. I mean,
canine might snack on his bits and kibbles.
Exactly. I mean, it's just not safe, and everybody else has to get out of the car. And, as far as this guy yelling that he's a paraplegic, Maybe he is, maybe he's not. But how many calls have you been on, or people here in the Wolfpack in the comments here? How many calls have you been on where they were like, "I've got a mental disability. I got a mental disability. I can't do that. I got a mental disability." Well, what's your mental disability? Well, I'm ADHD. Come on. That's not a mental disability. ADHD. Get out of here with that.
You're gonna make somebody mad in the comments. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm a psychiatrist.
How did this guy get into his car? How was he getting out of his car before? Does this guy just drive around and then he has to like call somebody to come and pick him up and get him out of the car?
Yeah,
I mean, so. I don't know. I think this was theatrics. I think that this is kind of what we have made acceptable for people to do, and they're doing it on every call. And we're going to break down this case here right now.
Can you imagine if any type of case like this got no coverage from the press? That how I wonder, and believe me, I wouldn't want to suppress information. Like, God bless the free press. This is part of my free speech. I want free press too. But imagine if they got no notoriety for this kind of nonsense. Imagine if that school shooter, no one knew who he was or where he was or what his affiliation was. Would it encourage stuff like that in the future? I've always been a big believer in, like, I would love it if there was like just a cultural consensus. Like I said earlier, shoot and kill a cop. I don't want your name anywhere. I want your name erased from history. You're worthless in name. Like, I want it gone. I never want to give you the credit. No, I mean, these school shooters or mass shooters or whoever, like, just if you never gave them credit, would it stop inspiring other people? Would it be less emboldening for others to commit future crimes like that?
When you have people like Akil Dinkins that tries to pull a gun on another officer while in a foot pursuit, and that officer shoots them in the gun. The bullet struck, his first bullet hit the gun, and then the other bullets ran up his chest and gave him a nice dirt nap. And then Deion Sanders gets his jacket. He gets the Hall of Fame jacket. And while he's putting the jacket on, he's got a tie on that has Akil Dinkins' name on it. Why is Deion Sanders wearing a man's name on his tie that tried to kill a cop who was also a several-time felon, who was also a man who had lots of domestic abuse charges on him, including felony domestic violence? Because we all care about domestic violence right now with this Gabby Petito case. We're all really concerned about domestic violence. But when a domestic violence turd who's been charged with multiple felonies tries to kill a cop and the cop kills him, now we have a hero like Deion Sanders goes and puts his name on this tie. And what do you think that does, right? Like, it's giving these folks, these criminals, a platform. And that's all we have done in the last 4 years is continue. We were at an all-time low from 1991 to 2012. We were at an all-time low in violent crime in America. Violent crime was at its lowest point in 2012. So what did we start doing? Well, let's fucking change the way we're policing. Let's get those violent crimes back up. And now they've been climbing ever since 2016. And now it's just getting out of control.
Yeah. And then we allow unrelated cases to drive the narrative of other cases. And that's what happened here with Officer Dages, was that some turd decides to hashtag George Floyd, and it has the two cases are completely unrelated, but yet it drives this public perception and the narrative. So before we dive into that, I need a nap. I know that. And so are ghost beds good for naps or no?
Oh, ghost beds are perfect for naps, man. Ghost bed's been a loyal sponsor of the Drinking Bros Network, and we are part of that Drinking Bros Network. They've been a very loyal sponsor for 5 years. We absolutely love Ghost Bed, and we're so thankful to have them. My favorite part about Ghost Bed is that it's made in the good old USA. Yep.
Right? Did I do
16 weeks.
I did it.
17 weeks.
I did
17 weeks.
That's perfect.
No, it wasn't.
What do you mean? No. What world are you living in? I did it.
We'll keep trying, but nope. But they're made in the good old USA, and we absolutely love them. 20-year warranty guaranteed. If you don't like it, you could try these beds out for 101 nights. And I always thought that was cool. Not 100 nights, not 98, not 99, but 101 nights. If you don't like it, you can easily return it, but you won't. Ghost Bed has the adjustable base. You can do the bundle package. So if you want it all, if you want like the adjustable base, you want the pillows, Go on the website, bundle it up, baby. Get you that bundle.
Bundle it up.
If you want it all and you want it now, get the bundle. Right now, GhostBed is offering 40% off to the old failure to stop. And that's ghostbed.com. Promo code is Wolfpack for those out there. That's all you got to know. Just go to that thing, hit the Wolfpack. Look, 15 massage modes, 0 gravity. If you don't like it, you can return it back. 0% financing, 0% down, $135 a month. If you have Last Row Lopez credit, most of us here have better credit than that. What can you go wrong? Made in the USA, 20-year warranty. What are you waiting on? Go to ghostbed.com. Use that promo code Wolfpack and get you a ghost bed. Do it today. Do it right now. We absolutely love them.
Yeah.
So, what else we got?
We have
Cardomax. We just had
keeping me. I've been living on immune booster because you can tell from my my cold, sinus, allergies, whatever is going on. I've been sucking down the immune booster to prevent further problems.
Wanted to call Sean and ask him if you can OD on this stuff. While I was in Florida, I had zero.
It's a lot of caffeine, dude. In the energy intensifier, it's intense because a normal cup of coffee has like 80 milligrams caffeine. I think there's like 200 in a serving of energy intensifier.
Yeah. But I needed it. That 200 milligrams, I needed it the whole time I was in Florida. It's what kept me going. But if you're dragging through your days, ditch the cheap coffee and sugar-packed energy drinks for a Navy SEAL approved source of energy. Cardomax Energy Intensifier uses the least amount of ingredients as possible. There's absolutely no junk in there to give you the energy you need to optimize your workouts or whatever else you need a boost for. Work, dealing with the kids at some godly hour in the morning, driving the long haul, whatever it is, Cardomax will keep you going. Owned and operated by former Navy SEAL Sean Matson, fellow drinking bro. That's what I like about him the most. Comes in an easy to mix liquid packet, 2 great flavors, blue raspberry and my favorite pink lemonade. Has all your B3s, your B6s, your B12 vitamins, caffeine, BCAAs. Tastes great. The ingredients are healthy. It's made by a veteran, made by a drinking bro. That's why we love them. It's a healthy pick-me-up. Cardomax, offering Failure to Stop listeners an exclusive 30% off your next 4 orders. Your next 4 orders. This is what an order looks like. Boom.
Get
a whole bunch of little packs in there.
That's like 15. Is it 50 or is it 30?
Yeah.
What is it? 15
like 15.
servings? Yeah, 15 servings. So it's like it ends up being like 35 cents a packet or something stupid. So it's like way cheaper than Monster or
Starbucks,
Red Bull or Starbucks or whatever it is that you get your energy from on a shift. So if you guys are hearing this and you're on a team together, a shift together, hey, go pool your resources, get some Cardomax, and I'm telling you, you're gonna like it.
We had a sergeant reach out to us. He says he stocks the team room with Cardomax. It's a K9 unit, and they sent us a beautiful picture. That was really cool. Also got another picture from another guy who their squad went in on some Cardomax. They also have that in their team room as well, and I think that's always so cool. It's good camaraderie. It's good team building there. So if you're a sergeant on a team or you're a team leader, get your boys some Cardomax in case they need that pick-me-up. Hey, might save somebody's life. 30% off right now. Your next 4 orders, go to cardomax.com, use that promo code WOLFPACK, and send us a picture. Tag us. Send us a picture after you use that promo code WOLFPACK because we like to see it. That is cardomax.com. Use the promo code WOLFPACK, and you'll get 30% off your next 4 orders. That's cardomax.com, helping you achieve your max.
Giddy
up. Moving through these, and we're going to get into this breakdown of the Dages case.
Chrissy's like 18 years while sitting in the backstage just waiting for us.
She's right. She's really excited. She's going to
look
not
like,
nervous at all.
The lady from the Titanic by the time we get her on here. It's been 84 years.
Never let me go, Dages. Never let me go. Too soon. So look, there's some big news from my favorite home security company, Simply Safe. Mike and I both use Simply Safe.
Have it on my house right now.
Yeah, brother, I got it right here in the studio, so nobody comes and messes with my cameras or my equipment.
I should actually put it here at the office because I have more valuables here at the office than I do at my actual house.
Yeah, the only thing valuable at my house is my kids, and if somebody wants to take them, I mean, I'm almost encouraging it at this point. Take all 3 of them. I don't care. I have another one on the way. But no, here in the office, I do have valuable.
They can be
things,
replaced.
things of
They
value.
can be
They can be replaced.
Not by me, unless God miraculously reties things together that doctors saw fit to put apart.
Snip, snap, snip, snap. Do you know how three?
Do you know the toll 3 vasectomies have on a man?
But anyway, big news coming out of the home security company SimpliSafe. They just launched their new wireless outdoor security camera. That's right, SimpliSafe, the system that U.S. News and World Report names best home security system of 2021. They just got even better, folks. This brand new outdoor security camera is engineered with all the advanced tech and security features that you want and need to help keep you and your family safe. If you received a SimpliSafe system, talk about how good it is to mount those things on the wall, right? Tell your friends, when you got that little SimpliSafe packet in the mail and you go and you get your drill and you go and get the screws, you go and get your level, and then you open up the package and you're like, oh my God, I don't need any of this garbage. I can just mount this thing on my wall. You peel the sticky tape off of the camera and it sticks to your wall. You don't need any of the garbage. It's amazing.
Super easy to install.
Even Boston Joe from Tailgate Legends could hang it up. It has an ultra wide 140-degree field of view. You can keep watch over your entire yard. It has 1080.
I think even, well, I can't say this because I don't know how SimpliSafe feels about me saying this. I better not say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I was going to say even a certain person could install this, but I have to leave it blank because
we'll just say Boston Joe.
I don't want to get canceled just yet. I don't know.
Boston Joe, because Boston Joe, I watched him try to hang some shelves in the studio. It was a train wreck. I said, you know what? Just play music and talk on the microphone and I'll do any of the manual labor. But 1080p HD resolution with 8x zoom. That means you can zoom in and clearly see things like faces and license plates to capture critical evidence. Bigfoot comes through your yard, unless he is just a blurry existence, you're going to get a clear picture of that Bigfoot. It has a built-in spotlight with color night vision, so you can keep an eye on what's going on day and night. It's super simple to set up and usually takes just minutes. I was so shocked at how fast I could set up. I procrastinated on setting that system up
because you just didn't want to have to get the drill out.
And you know what? I went and got my little DeWalt bag of goodies with them. Everybody's got them in their house. You got to your little box of your level and your drills and your bits. I get the whole thing out, got the extension cords, did all the things, opened up the box and was like, Jesus.
Tansey the tool man.
Yeah, well, easy to remove, rechargeable battery, doesn't need an outlet, can go anywhere on your property. This camera has it all. It integrates with your SimpliSafe home security system, extending its protection to the outside. Together, it means every door, window, room are protected, and you will too. You'll be properly protected as well. So to learn more about the exciting new SimpliSafe wireless outdoor security camera, visit simplysafe.com/wolfpack. Look, doesn't do you guys any good to go to simplysafe.com and not use the promo code Wolfpack because you won't get the discount. I've had like 8 or 9 messages where they're like, man, those Raycon earbuds were great. I was like, cool, man, send me a picture of you using the promo code. Oh, I didn't use the promo code. I just paid full price. That's stupid. Get your 20% off. SimpliSafe is celebrating the new camera by offering you 20% off your entire new system, and your first month of monitoring service is free. When you enroll in the interactive monitoring, you don't even have to do the interactive monitoring. If you just want to get SimpliSafe and hang it on your wall and not pay for anything, that's it. You can just review it from your phone. But if you want to have somebody else monitor it for you, you can pay. All that's 20% off. Again, simplysafe.com/wolfpack, guys. Especially for you police officers out there, you want to know while you're at work that your house, all your family, everybody's safe. Get you the security system to SimpliSafe. All right, last but not least, we've got Aurora. Again, this is internet security, right? So if you guys are scrolling around, getting all naughty on night shift, protect your computer, protect your assets online.
I'll tell you right now, because if people are wondering, like, well, why is Aura better than any other system, like information, protecting your personal information online, like compared to any other companies or people, Aura allows you to like have a family plan. So you pay for one plan and you can add your family members to it. So it's like one for the price of a bunch of people. You can add like, oh, I got my parents, like my in-laws, even like my parents, or my mom's passed away, but my dad and then my wife's parents, they shouldn't be on the internet. Let's just be honest, right? Mm-hmm. They don't know how to be there. They type in all caps. they post pictures like of Jesus and like if a like equals a prayer, a share equals whatever. Like this shouldn't exist, right? So they're going to give their personal information away. Someone's going to tell them, I need you to buy $5,000 of prepaid gift cards and give me the codes. And they're going to do it. So their personal information is at risk. Well, I can be the smart one in my family. I can get Aura and I can get a secure account that protects my information online. And then I can add them to it and they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Aurora provides.
That's why I love Aura, by the way.
And they provide a
Personally.
complete digital. They provide complete digital security that helps protect your online accounts, finances, devices, and more, all in one easy to use app. Most credit card companies do a good job of protecting you against fraudulent purchases. But what if a scammer files for unemployment in your name, or if your social media accounts are hacked? Aura's protection goes well beyond your credit card. Between your photos, finances, devices, connections, your world is more online now more than ever. You may have security systems in place for real life, like Simply Safe, but what about your online life? Aurora can sound the alarm if your digital presence is at risk. The internet has connected us with the latest news, long distance friends, funny animal videos. Unfortunately, it's also connected us with hackers and cyber criminals. Aurora protects you from the worst of the internet. So you can still enjoy the best of it, but here we go. Here's a scary stat. Every 10 seconds, someone becomes a victim of fraud or identity theft. What's worse, 23% of those people don't get their money back after the attack. If you think it could never happen to you, you could be their next target. Aura can help. Listen, for a limited time, Aura is offering our listeners 40% off. I don't know how companies do this with this whole 40% off thing. I think it's ludicrous. I would never do that at my distillery. 40% off just seems like a lot. 40% off a plan when you visit Aura.com/Wolfpack. Go to Aura.com/Wolfpack.
Don't listen to Tansey's pronunciation.
Is it Aura?
It's Aura. A-U-R-A. Aura.
Aura.
Not Aurora. There's no extra O-R.
Oh, well, I'm embarrassed. I'm going to start over from the top. No, I'm just kidding. Go to Aura.com/Wolfpack. Get the complete protection and savings up to 40%. That's AURA.com/Wolfpack.
Hey, go ahead and put Brock's comment up here.
Ooh, Brock.
Brock. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to address this publicly right here. Brock Potter. Welcome to the show, by the way. Thank you for watching. Dude, I'm all for capitalism, but I'm about to change the channel. There needs to be a balance with the content. Seeing the viewers drop in real time, that's less people hearing the ad. Okay, Brock, a couple of things. One, do appreciate you listening for the time that you did. Two, I wish you well as you leave off the channel and never come back because, quite frankly, I just don't care. The other issue is that the only reason this show exists is because of our sponsors. And so we always encourage the Wolfpack, all the faithful viewers and listeners of the show to support those that are supporting the show. Do you know how rare it is to find companies that will support a pro-police podcast? Do you understand how rare that is for a company to sponsor this show where we are blatantly anti-stupidity, anti-turd, pro-cop? Do you understand how rare it is? And these companies are supporting us, and we're passing along. If this is something that interests you, any one of these companies, and you can get a discount, then great. If you don't want to, that is the beauty. You don't have to do that. But the reality of our show, guys, is that 95 or more % of our consumption of the show comes in audio format, not video. The live video is a bonus, and we just enjoy interacting in the comments with you guys, and you guys get to enjoy that as well. Get to know each other as part of the Wolfpack, listeners, fans of the show. And so when this hits audio, people can skip through whatever they want to skip through. And if we're still reading ads, then they can keep skipping. So you're right. God bless capitalism. God bless America. If you change the channel, I don't give a shit. Yeah, let's get to the heart of the show.
Brock, real quick on that, brother. So the Drinking Bros is a podcast network. This isn't just a bunch of dudes sitting inside their houses podcasting. This is a network like Fox News or CNN News Network. This is a network. They have like 14 or 15 shows. They came to Mike and I and asked if we wanted a job on their network, and they pay us to do this. And I think that is really great because drinking bros, right? Much like Barstool Sports, they're on the other fence, right? And they're trying to bring something. They saw a need that there's a lot of fake news and there's a lot of cop breakdowns that just aren't real or accurate. And they wanted us to break down some stuff. And so in order to do that, people have to get paid, man. We have cameras, we have lights, we have what, 3 producers on the network. Everybody's got to get paid, brother. And that's how we do it. So we appreciate you. We'd hope that you guys would, support these brands, because honestly, trying to get ad reads, our publicist is like trying to get ad reads for a cop show. As soon as they find out it's pro cop, they're like, okay, let's pump the brakes. So these companies are pro police, and that's hard to find these days. So support them, Brock. Let's go, baby.
Let's go. All right, guys. So
be a Karen.
A long time ago, because of the stuff that I do on social media, the reality is that I get between emails and direct messages. It's not an exaggeration to say that it totals in the hundreds per day. Usually I can break it down by about 20 to 25% are requests for me to promote a nonprofit, a GoFundMe, something like that. Another 25% are things that I am being requested to share otherwise or promote online. 25% are, legitimate people making comments on things that they're great people just trying to interact. And then another part is asking for my involvement in different things. It's crazy the amount of interaction that happens on social media. And I typically will shy away from almost just about everything, especially when it involves an officer getting in trouble at work, fired at work, because a lot of times there's more to the story that is very difficult for me to understand. There's more happening behind the scenes that I don't know. So I typically tend to keep most of that stuff at arm's length for a while. And Clear Officer Dages has been an account and really a movement, I guess, as it were, to help clear an officer's name. And we'll talk to Chrissy about the ultimate goal here. But after having finally had a chance to look at the information, I'm just like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. We need to talk about this. We need to make awareness of this, because how many other cops are not getting the notoriety? And you've got a case that's so blatantly obvious that this officer should not have been fired and should not have been charged with anything. How many police spouses or police supporters are not getting the traction that this is getting, that it's happening to? So we want to start bringing awareness to this. So I want to welcome, I don't know if you want to be Christina or Chrissy. We'll find out when you welcome you here to the show here, Christina Dages. So thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me on.
So do you want to be Chrissy or Christina on the show? I don't know what you want me to call you.
Chrissy works. Thank you.
All right, cool.
Real quick, all this Brock stuff going on in the comments right now is absolutely they're putting songs like Brock the Casbah, the Brock Steady. I mean, Brock Me Amadeus. I'm crying. The Brocket launcher. I mean, man, you guys are going ham on this guy. I feel bad, Brock. If you're out there, bro, we do love you, man. You gotta have thick skin, man. Don't hurt yourself over this. Social media is not real. It's not a real place. Rock out with your Brock out. All right. Sorry about that. Chrissy. What was it?
Chrissy. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Thanks for finally, I know that you've had to be patient with us for quite some time here. You've been faithfully reaching out consistently. And I can imagine that if you're doing that, on my account or to our show, that's probably only scratching the surface of the amount of people that you're constantly reaching out to draw attention to this. You are certainly a dog with a bone on this. And so I'm glad that finally we can highlight what's going on. So yeah, thanks for your patience and your tenacity in this. It really goes a long way to show the kind of personality you are.
Yeah, polite persistence, right? It always gets me where I need to go. But I really appreciate you guys having me on and giving me a platform to really set the record straight about what happened in my husband's case and what didn't happen.
Yeah, so let's Tarantino it for a little bit. Let's talk about what the end game is. Like, what are you guys like in this moment right now? What is the right resolution for you? Before we go into the story, like let's talk about what the end goal is on this.
The end goal, there's on a couple fronts, is to clear my husband's name, to dismiss the criminal case that's currently up against him, which is really just a witch hunt, and to get him reinstated and back in uniform, right? That's like our victory. That's our goal. And then beyond that, right, our overarching higher purpose is really just to sound the alarm to other police families that what happened to us can and likely will happen to you, an officer you know, an officer you love. And so it's really important that we raise awareness about how in certain police departments like La Mesa, where my husband worked, they are designed in a way to crush officers, not because they did something wrong, but because it's politically convenient.
Yes. Right. They're doing it for political clout because it makes them look good. It keeps them in the limelight. It keeps them in the media when they burn down another cop because they think that that's going to make them cool and that they're going to win some more votes in the upcoming elections and whatnot. Yeah. I have not seen this case. I have not. I purposefully shunned my eyes from it because I wanted to be surprised by the video and give you a very honest breakdown of it. So I have kept myself separated from this case. I know that Mike's done the research, so I'm just going to be open-minded. I'm going to watch it and I'm going to tell you what my perceptions are of the case. But I'm trying to go into it with an open mind from both sides.
Yeah, the what's happening, I think, culturally is that departments are feeding the bears, so to speak, and they think that that's gonna make them happy. If we give the media, if we give these socio-political tyrants a little bit of food, if we please them for a second, they'll go away happy, and they're gonna like us, and they won't keep after us and keep demanding that we don't stand for law and order. And it's the exact opposite. They just get a taste for more and more and more, and they will never be satisfied until you are no longer doing your job as a cop. They are getting their way in the community and turning it upside down on its head. So, and this is a reason why a lot of cops are leaving the job. It's because they know that they are one interaction away from being in your husband's place. And so let's break down. Andy, could you pull up the summary, and then Chrissy, like I'm just going to kind of read that, not this fact check one. It's more like what happened. Okay, so I'm going to kind of cover what happened. Guys, if you're going to be listening to the show, you're not going to be able to see the body cam footage, but you'll be able to reference it on our YouTube channel if you want to.
We're going to brock this down. Break this down.
Yeah, it's a brock down. All right. What happened on May 27th in 2020? So we're quite removed from this in the big scheme of things. And you would think like this would have been dealt with a lot faster. But Officer Matthew Dages was working proactive enforcement detail with other La Mesa Police Department officers at Grossmont Trolley Station. That detail was organized by a senior officer who, like Dages, believed that all of the Metropolitan Transit System property was an enforceable area for fare checks. The purpose of this enforcement detail was saturation for officers to talk to everyone at the trolley station, which is a high crime area of the city. And during a consensual encounter with a subject on MTS property, Officer Dages learned that the subject did not have a trolley pass, which resulted in a detainment. The subject refused to provide his name and date of birth, delaying Dages' ability to run his information. The subject became further non-compliant when an unknown vehicle pulled up alongside them. The subject then attempted to walk toward the vehicle, but because he was still detained, Dages held the suspect's shirt to prevent his departure. The subject then smacks the officer's hand off his shirt, which constitutes assault on a police officer. Pause there. I don't know how it is on in California law. That technically is a felony in Michigan. To strike an officer is felonious. Normally, if it doesn't cause injury, prosecutors will seek local charges on that, like a local misdemeanor if it doesn't cause injury. But technically, it is a felony. So this subject continues to demonstrate pre-assaultive cues while acting combative, non-compliant, verbally abusive toward Dages, With the help of other officers, the subject is taken into custody for resisting, delaying, or obstructing arrest and assaulting a police officers. In the days that followed, Black Lives Matter protested at Dages' home. So you guys were doxxed. Is that accurate, Chrissy?
Yeah, we had protesters show up at our home that same night of this incident, as well as subsequent days after that. So all of our personal information was online. We got death threats. So they literally brought the fight right to our doorstep.
How did they obtain your address and stuff like that? Do you know what the path to that was?
Unknown, but it was leaked everywhere online in the comment section. It was blasted everywhere, and all of the trolls were encouraging each other to show up, threaten us, make us feel unsafe. That the goal was actually to make the officer and his wife feel unsafe in their home. So that's exactly what they did.
That probably made for a long night, that first night, huh?
I don't think we slept for 72 hours straight.
Yeah, that's insane.
A good friend of mine got in a police shooting, and the same thing happened. It was actually the local newspaper here that doxed him. It said the officer, I won't say his name, but officer so-and-so who attends such and such church and such CrossFit gym was involved in a shooting. And so I actually got paid for several days to run security at his house. But yeah, they had to move out of that house. They actually had to move away. It got so bad every year on the anniversary. Those people were coming to the house and protesting again. And it was just, it was too much. So the family packed up, they moved out, and it can really ruin your life when something like this happens. I'm curious to see the video to see what happened, because I haven't seen any of this.
Yeah,
so.
That's the description. So that brings us kind of up to the point where, Andy, can you cue up let's first look at the cell phone footage that was kind of like a popular, it shows kind of both angles. I think it shows the posture of the turd compared to Officer Dages as well. So let's take a look at that. And Tansey, just tell us when you want to pause and kind of think through what's happening now that we have the backstory of what the circumstance is.
Okay.
Hey, bro. Hey, what'd I tell you? I told you I was waiting for somebody to come here. They right here, bro.
Hey, bro, you can't do that.
Hey, you tough as fuck, huh? Hey, we don't care about this.
Bro.
Bro, you goofy as hell, bro. Hey, Mr. Dages, you making a big ass deal out of nothing, Brody. You're the one that making a big ass deal out of nothing, Brody. You making a big ass deal out of nothing. You real big, though, huh? Hey, you real big.
Hey,
you real big.
Bro, we live here. Dude, just leave him alone, bro. He just came over.
Hey, where was I at? Where was I at? Right there. I told you, brother, where I came, bro. The people came. I'm finna dip. Okay. I have no reason to be detained by you, bro. Sit down. Sit down. Bro, you see your bro. What am I doing? Y'all are funny, bro.
All right, can you pause it there real quick?
So give me the backstory one more time. What brought the cop over here?
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead, Chrissy.
So he's stationed to be there. This is a trolley station in Mesa. He's assigned.
What is a Charlie station?
A trolley.
Trolley.
My bad enunciation. Right.
No,
so
it's fine. Trolley.
It's a transit station, and officers are assigned to be there that day because it's a very high crime area. So it's routine to have these enforcement details there, where officers, their job is to talk to everyone on the property and make sure that they have a fare.
Right. So they do that. They do that at almost every bus station across America. We don't have trolleys here because we're not bougie like California, but every bus station across America, for those of you who are listening, every bus station in America, pretty much every Greyhound bus station, every train station has cops there on property because people like to loiter in the parking lot. They like to sell drugs a lot in those parking lots. They like to barter for things because you're getting a lot of traffic out of these vehicles, people coming and going. So
this is basically what we call quality of life crimes, right?
Quality of
people
life,
are loitering around. They're tend to bother or harass people who are coming and going that are properly supposed to be there with fares. This guy's standing around smoking, which is actually prohibited in the area, and doesn't have a fare, doesn't belong there. And the cops are there to basically prevent this exact type of behavior.
Right. Right. So it's a very routine encounter. You guys understand that. And this person was detained because they didn't have trolley fare on MTS property, right? Those are the rules. That's how it goes. And so this detention should have been 30 seconds. Had this person just been reasonable, provided their name, date of birth, if they had no pending warrants, they would have been free to go with a warning. They would not have been cited. But because they were so non-compliant, they, kept springing up from a seated position. They struck the officer, and later on in the body-worn camera, they admit to pushing the officer. That's what escalated this interaction to necessitate a very low-level use of force.
So on this video, like when can you start it over, Andy? I just want to see that initial. So what got it? So we're coming into this video a little bit late. What was going on prior to this scene?
Just play
right
that.
here?
Can you mute it, Andy? So you can just play the video.
Chrissy, what happened prior to this? Because like right now the officer's standing over the man. The officer's got his hand on his shirt. What led to the hand on the shirt?
And so it's great that you called that out, because this is the bystander video that they posted with the hashtag George Floyd that went viral. And so it's important to call that out, because it doesn't have any context. It doesn't have any detail of leading up to this point in the interaction. So prior to this video starting, and the body-worn camera captures all of it, my husband approaches this person. They don't have a trolley pass. They're detained. And during the detention, this car pulls up beside them carrying the individuals that took this video. And the subject attempts to end the detention himself and walk towards the vehicle. But he was detained. He hadn't provided his name. So my husband holds his hand out to stop the person from leaving, and puts his hand on the person's shirt, and the person smacks his hand away. Okay. So that's what led to this point.
He smacks his shirt away. He moves in, grabs him by the shirt. These guys got their video cameras up and going. Just for people in the chats, kind of what's happening here happens quite often. I guess as there's other cops listening, they're all kind of nodding their heads like, dude, we've all seen this shit before. So what we can do is distract through theatrics, and it's really becoming a popular thing to do. It was real big in the inner city because they were getting really empowered by this kind of tactic. It is now spread through everybody. Everybody's kind of doing the same thing. And what I mean by this is, one time I stopped a car, it had tinted windows. It was a window tint. And the problem was that they were selling drugs at a Dollar General during school break hours. So the school would have a lunch break hour, and the kids could venture off over to this little township, this little town area that had a couple of different delis in it. And there was a car that was suspected of pulling up and dealing drugs in the parking lot. We identified the car, had full blacked out tinted windows. We had reasonable suspicion to go up and talk to the vehicle. And as soon as we did it, another man came out with the cell phone, and then he started yelling to them not to give the IDs to the officers. Don't do this. Shut the door, drive away. So the guys are like, okay. And they turn the car on. I'm like, turn the car off. This guy's like, you don't have to listen to him. I'm an attorney with so-and-so. You can drive away. Obviously it's not the case. The guy wasn't an attorney. It was all to just retard the situation and allow these guys to get away scot-free. Another fun one that happens, I think cops have been duped by this before, is a cop will pull over a vehicle, will start to maybe give a ticket or something, and somebody, a friend or a bystander, will drive by. They'll see this happen. They'll call 911. They'll call in a shooting right up the street. So then the copter's like, oh, there's a shooting up the street. He'll run to his car. He'll get in. He'll leave. This guy leaves. There was never any shooting. This is just another example of this tactic that is rampant in the inner cities right now.
Go back a little bit in this video, Andy, where he stands up, like right before he gets into handcuffs. Like, see if you can fast forward it for a second. He stands up one time right here. Go back right where he stands up. So pause it right there. A little bit further. Okay. So again, I'm not a California legal expert. Pretty much across the board, this is going to be pretty consistent. But in Michigan, we have what's called assault and battery. So they're different things. They most often go together, but there's assault and there's battery. But typically you hear A and B, or assault and battery, because they're so often connected together. And what happens is an assault is when there is reasonable belief that a battery is going to happen or is imminent. So he's sitting down, the turd is sitting down, and then as he stands up like that to confront the officer again, what's happening is that now we have an assault on a police officer, because there is reasonable expectation from Officer Dages here that he is about to be battered, that there is an imminent threat that this guy is going to continue to aggress him with physical assault, because he was sitting and now he's been told he's being detained and he can't go anywhere. And he stands up in an aggressive, bladed posture against the officer. So this right here is another crime that is happening right in front of your face.
For those of you listening and not watching, what you have here is if you were to watch a UFC fight right before the fight, when the two guys that get up in each other's face.
No,
and that's what this looks like
at the weigh-ins when they get
at
in
the
each other's
weigh-ins.
face.
This is what's going on right now. This guy's in his face. Chrissy, and I'm sure you've talked to Dages about this. What I noticed is that where this takes place, where he has the hand on the gentleman's shirt and then he shoves him. Now, in context, out of context, that looks really bad. But in context, that is a great tactic on the police officer's point of view, on his perspective. So what you have here is when we see a fight in a bar, what happens is two males or two females will get up in each other's faces real tight. It's really hard to have a fight when you're kissing each other. Also, you can get shanked pretty easy that way as well. I think Officer Dages realized that he was getting into one of these almost like bar fight scenarios where you've got a dude way up in your face. Nothing can happen there. You have no access to your tools. You have no access to your equipment. You can't even swing a punch when you're that close. And I think what Dages was doing in that, or Dages, how do you say his name?
Dages, like Vegas, so with a D.
Vegas, yep. So I think what Dages was doing there was like, let's separate, let's get some distance from this guy, and that way I can articulate my tools if I need be, or I can actually punch this dude in the noodle. It wasn't a shove like a thug shove. This was like I'm creating distance so that I can use my tools. Is that anything that he articulated to you?
You're 100% on point. And with someone repeatedly springing up and getting inches from his face, that's a threatening posture. This person also has he's in very close proximity to Matthew's belt, to all of his weapons on his belt. And kind of like stepping back and going back to 30,000 feet, this shove that you just broke down, right? It's important to note this was completely justified by the department's use of force expert, right? And so It's like this use of force taken out of context created all this outrage. It touched off a use of force investigation that the department cleared, and yet here we are 17 months later still embattled in this. It's just outrageous.
I mean, this isn't anything that I've never seen before. I've seen this happen 1,000 times, probably, maybe almost daily for officers. I mean, this is typical behavior in the inner cities. To be honest with you, you wouldn't see this in a neighborhood that has a lot of money or has children that are a little bit more obedient. You don't see that. But if you go to the inner cities, if you get down right up next to the subways, this is behavior that's almost a daily occurrence, right? We're not going to listen to you. We're not going to obey you. You have no authority over me.
And that's what's scary about the situation is this is so normal, like in terms of like an interaction with a resisting subject, that this should be definitely a signal to all cops, like, hey, pay attention to what's happening here, because you can and will be next, like you said earlier, Chrissy. And the other thing that I thought about this, and again, we only have you to kind of feed us this perspective, is I'm thinking, okay, why isn't he in handcuffs? Like, I'm a big believer in like, all right, as soon as I can get this guy in cuffs, I'm going to get him in cuffs. He's got people on the way, and I think, oh, okay, so this is from a car full of people that are right next to him. I'm not going to get in this fight. I've got cops on the way. I'm going to keep him where I can see him. I'm going to keep the distance the best I can. I'm going to keep him sitting here. I'm not going to let him run away, but I'm also not going to get embroiled in this one-on-one combat situation where I'm fighting this dude while I got a car full of other guys that could hop out. And now it's, 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 4-on-1, however many were there, until the other guys, the cavalry, gets here and we can get this guy in cuffs safely. Is that accurate, Chrissy, to what he's thinking there? Or
it's accurate, and he was trying to call out on the radio, but because the subject was like shouting and cursing and just being ridiculous, it couldn't get out over the radio, so that caused a delay in the other officers from running over and assisting him. But yeah, you're right. He's assessing threats on multiple fronts. He's got this incredibly combative, dangerous subject right in his face, and then he's got a car full of unknown amounts of people with unknown intentions. So he's trying to protect himself, but it's a very difficult situation. I think he showed a lot of composure, and it's worth calling out that this all kind of bubbled over to a very low level use of force, right? Based on all the situational details happening here, there's a whole spectrum of like use of force options that officers have. And the fact that my husband remained so composed and chose to utilize an open-handed tactic, which was cleared, and we're still here, I think it's just insane. An open-handed tactic to create distance after he had been battered. He had been struck by the subject. No foul language being used in his direction. No
Although people were saying this is racially motivated, there's zero evidence that he is treating him any different than he would treat any other subject based on some type of surface issue like the color of skin. There's no indicators that that's happening at all. So they get him in custody. Can we flip to the body worn camera? I want to show people that.
Yeah, because we're just catching the preamble. So for those of you who are like, the cop just shoved him, again, you're missing the part before that where he's going to be assaulted by this gentleman. And for the guy who put in the comment that he was just creating distance, kind of like an LOL thing, this cop in the video, Officer Dages, is, what is he, like 6'2", 6'3"? What's Dages running?
6'4".
6'4"?
She's all like
strapping young man, strapping young guy, 6'4", probably going in at 230.
He's a handsome fella. That's quite a catch there, Chrissy.
Well, thank you. I agree.
I mean, like, I don't butter my bread that way, but I mean, it's a very short list of people that, if I had to, like.
So you got the 6'4" Dages, who's jacked. And got a great haircut and mustache, power stash. And he's towering over this like 120-pound, if he's soaking wet, dude that's probably never lifted a single weight in his life. And he gives him a little shove. Now, it's clear that if Dages was racist, or if Dages really wanted to step things up and really wanted to get into the mix, he could have shoved that dude into next week. He could have sent that dude straight to his ass. So that was, yes, a little, that was a little hell. Yes, that was a little, get away from me before I wreck you. That was good restraint. So I just wanted to point that out there, that was literally a little push to create space. Because if it was a push of violence, he could have sent that dude into next week.
All right. So a little language warning. I don't know can't remember what all comes in here, but this, out of anybody using racial slurs or negative language, you're going to hear it coming from not Officer Dages in this case. So go ahead. And the body worn camera, when it's clicked on it goes back in time for a little bit. So you don't hear the audio until it catches up, basically. So do you want to fast forward just a little bit? There we go. Oh.
All right, here we go.
Get the fuck up off me, bro. Fuck is you grabbing me for, bro? I already told you niggas is coming straight. You look goofy as hell, bro. Stop touching me, bro. Obviously, nobody's going nowhere. Hey, what'd I tell you? I told you I was waiting for somebody to come here. They right here, bro. Sit down. Oh, my God. You're tough as fuck, huh? Hey, you tough as fuck, huh?
Yeah.
So, did we miss where the little push was?
At the 19-second mark, if that helps you.
It's at what?
At the 19-second mark, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
Well, so right now you have a combative dude just in his verbal language, like, you're about to get up off of me. You know, what the fuck is you doing? You know, like, these are all things that's like, I'm a no person. And look at his posture. He's got his arms back, his palms open. If you've ever watched a gang fight on YouTube, and of course, all of us officers, we have seen lots of footage of fights. These are all characteristics that this guy is going to fight someone. He's acting again, Andy, just how he would be in middle school.
Yeah, play it from there.
Which is probably what his education is at this point. Is probably a middle school level. Just the way.
Yeah, again, if you guys are just listening to the show and you're like, man, I can't tell what's happening. Again, you can reference this video online, and he smacks his hand out of the way, and that's why the shirt grab happens. So it's
like, look, this video is worth watching, by the way.
Yeah, so if you guys want to check it out, but you kind of, I guess at this point, you kind of got to take our word for it that, you know, looking at it from the body camera footage, you can see the posture of the subject from kind of like the best view we're going to get from Officer Dages. Was there any other relevant points to the body worn camera that you want us to show, Chrissy?
There's later on, like after he's in handcuffs, he's still kind of like clapping back, and he admits, he goes, "This is the reason I pushed you." He verbally admits himself.
Oh, let's go there. Yeah.
Police officer. Yeah. It's like down. He's at the patrol car with, he's in handcuffs, and it's right around there if you want to play it.
Remember the front door. Remember there was a attorney right there.
That's fine. You want to get his card?
Bro, I do actually.
Separate your feet for me.
Bro, don't start doing all that extra shit, bro.
No one's doing anything extra.
Right,
if anyone's being extra, it's you.
Okay.
And your friends.
All right, bro. Extra is me being in this position right now. You know what I'm saying? Because you saw me just standing there. And you know why I put your hand off of me, because you grabbed me.
There you
So,
go.
You know what I'm saying? It's all good. I didn't try to run.
So you know why I pushed your hand off of me.
If y'all want to take to the step, it's cool.
So
I understand.
yeah,
I
go ahead.
don't.
You can pause. So that's a really relevant point, especially with the charges that are going to come.
You could tell he's got his LeBron James jersey on. I love the double tank top. He's got the wife beater on underneath the LeBron James jersey.
LeBron James, never heard of her.
This is that mentality, like that the celebrities are encouraging these folks to act like this. I mean, there's no irony in the fact that he's wearing a LeBron James jersey. That is what is getting these folks to do these kind of things. They're empowering them to do these things by their words, by their actions. And that's why we made the t-shirt, LeBron James, never heard of her. Because I think LeBron James is a huge piece of shit. And all the friends and all the people that wear his jerseys are probably equally pieces of shit. Like this little turd here.
God, I love it. All right, Chrissy, at this point, this stuff comes to light, and any other relevant pieces that you think we should highlight for people like that are seeing this or hearing this, as far as like the actual incident itself?
Well, like I said, this person admits to striking a police officer. That's what they were arrested for. And then this touches off a use of force investigation, which my husband was cleared for use of force. And it's interesting that the DA declines to file charges against this person for assault on a police officer, which we all saw happen. We all heard him admit that. But the DA declined to charge him for that and instead charged my husband, which is just insane, right? Because this all happens, this all bubbles over, and my husband is just so horrified that his own department and the political powers that be would throw him to the wolves. He takes a voluntary polygraph, right? And further proves there's no racial bias, there's no dishonesty in this whole incident. And yet, they proceed to fire him, criminally charge him, and we're still battling 18 months later. So it's just unfortunate. And like I said, this is something that our eyes are now wide open to, but this could happen to any police family next, just based on the current climate around policing.
So how long after this incident, when it happened May 27th in 2020, how long after this incident did the next conversation happen with the department, where the department basically sits him down and gives your husband the opportunity to resign over this with a severance, right? So like they're going to basically pay him to quit, right? Is that what happened? Tell us about that conversation, what your understanding of that is.
Well, I was part of those conversations. They brought the wife in
nice.
the emotional part, to tug at his emotional hearttestrings, which backfired on them because I don't think they realized
That's fascinating. I've never heard of that. So like we have like are you guys, is there a union there?
Yeah,
there's
a police union. It's
so
very small, but
we would have a union representation. Maybe there's other situations I've never seen. Even when I was a union representative, I'd never seen an opportunity to bring a spouse in. That's fascinating.
There was an attorney present. But yeah, so essentially what happened is the city burned down. There was like riots and protests over this justified low level use of force. The city burns down. And then immediately after that, they sit us down and they try and bribe Matthew with a 6-figure offer to resign voluntarily. And yeah, the conversation was, take the cash, move up the coast with your wife. And I think that they underestimated that I'm just as much of a fighter as him. And we knew his use of force was cleared. And we knew that if he were to resign, it would look like resignation in lieu of termination, which would destroy his career.
Before I forget this, so like what was, you may have said this, how long from the incident to that conversation was it?
Couple days.
Had the use of force part was already cleared? That was already okayed, or was that still going through? Or
not yet. So they had basically said, hey, take this money, resign voluntarily. We won't even do an investigation. They offered us kind of like leave now and we won't put you through an investigation. And we were
they were bullied by a George Floyd hashtag, basically.
Yeah.
They didn't want the publicity.
Yep.
Unfortunately, just because I've seen this so much, Chrissy, it's almost like they were saying, we're not gonna mess with you. We're giving you an opportunity. Here's the money, go. But if you don't, we're gonna burn you the fuck down, because this is what big government does. And people can't win. I mean, the guy that went up against Cisco, he's sitting in prison right now, even though he was completely right and he exposed a lot of things that were going on in that company. Are you not afraid that this big government is bigger than you and that they are going to wreck you?
I mean, they certainly tried, right? They're throwing everything that they can against us, and we're still standing because at the end of the day, the facts and the law are on our side. And we're very convicted. We know that he didn't do anything wrong, and we know that if we have to go before a jury, we're confident that we'll prevail. But you're absolutely right, where it's like a David versus Goliath situation.
We're obviously rooting for you. There's a couple of people in here that asked, does he have a GoFundMe set up?
Yes. So our Instagram handle is just below me here. The link in our bio will take you straight to a donation page because, he does have a police union that covers part of his attorney fees, but we're fighting so many legal battles. There's like the admin case for his termination, and then there's the criminal case. And so not all of his attorney fees are covered by the union.
The fact that this turned criminal is just mind-blowing to me. And there's some people in the comments like talking about why the DA wouldn't have charged the turd because it was like, oh, there's bigger fish to fry than that. That's one thing. It's kind of like related but unrelated. We're talking about charges against Officer Dages. We're not talking about just the fact that the DA didn't charge the turd. We're not talking about that. That is related, but they charged the officer, and that was with falsifying a police report, right?
Right.
Which part of his report are they alleging is falsified?
Yeah, they're grasping at straws. So one of the things that they're trying to take issue with is, you called it out yourself, that the subject took a belated stance when he was in my husband's face. They're trying to say that didn't happen, even though officers.
You can't watch the same video and not come up with the same conclusion. It's like, does the sun rise in the east or not? Like, you just look at it and you're like, oh yeah, it does.
Right. But the way that these IAs are structured in California, all they need to do is like allege that, like, oh, I don't agree with this word choice. It could be that the officer intentionally was dishonest about word choice. It's just like a whisper of, this allegation, and it allows them to move forward with termination with criminal charges. So it's unfounded. It's a witch hunt.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, is that when you get into an instance like this, and I was fired from my police department, not for anything crazy like this. I was fired for opening up a distillery, but I really got a close look on how they can manipulate things, how they can turn things into something that is not. I mean, they had a detective sitting outside my distillery taking pictures of me going in and out. Again, theatrics, just like you saw the theatrics of this gentleman and all of his friends on the street making this big deal, right? We're waving our arms around, we're cussing, we're swearing because we're trying to draw attention to this. This could have been handled like adults, right? Where he's like, hey, what's going on, officer? Like, what do you fucking need from me? Well, sir, that we have to have a permit to be on this property. You have to have a bus ticket. If not, you're gonna have to leave. Oh shit, man, my bad. Let me go ahead and get out of here. We'll wait for the officer to leave, and then I'll come back on here and do all the dumb shit that I was doing to begin with. But instead, no, if we use theatrics and we use big hands and we cuss and we swear and we get our friends involved, now we can make something of this and we can become a hero. The same tactics that they are using, the departments and city governments and all these big corporations like Southwest Airlines, like John Deere, they can use the same theatrics, that same mentality. Is where if we take little things and we blow them way out of proportion and take them out of context, we can now defeat you and beat you down. And so they're going to take every little thing you do until they retard the situation so bad that nobody knows what the truth is. And now you're playing the 50-50 thing. That's what happened to Derek Chauvin.
So how fast, you said a couple of days after you have this sit down where the department basically offers six-figure settlement. Let's just say the word settlement. That's not necessarily a legally accurate term, but basically here's some money if you shut up, and that way we can tell the hashtag George Floyd crowd that we dealt with the situation and you no longer work here, right? Like, we come out looking like the heroes. They're happy. The mob's happy. We fed the bear. You're off on the coast with your wife in wine country and enjoying the good life because you deserve it. Whatever the case is. So that was 2 days after the incident. How long after that? Was it immediate for you guys, like in that meeting where you were like, oh, hell no, that's not, we're not doing that? Or did you like say, well, we'll get back to you and talk about it and go and come back? And then how long from that point till there was like a termination? How long till charges were filed?
Yeah, so we immediately knew his use of force was justified, and to take this bribe would end his law enforcement career, and he loves being a police officer.
Bribe. I like that. Bribe. Good.
Yeah, yeah. So no, we immediately declined, and we leaned into the investigation because we knew he'd be cleared for use of force. Like, it wasn't even a question. If he did something wrong, that's a whole other scenario, but his use of force was justified, so we declined. And then they basically issued a veiled threat, and they were just like, you know that beyond use of force, like, we'll find a reason to fire you. And they hired an outside firm to kind of produce adverse findings against Matthew that had nothing to do with use of force, right? Like, he was still cleared for use of force. They kind of went off on a tangent, on a wild goose hunt, and just started grasping at straws, trying to take issue with word choice in his police report, which you guys are both former cops, so I'd love for you to chime in on this. You know, he goes in to write the police report for this incident, and how often do you hear this? It gets bounced back several times by the captain.
Yes. So when you write a report, and here's the thing: if you're a C student,
this report is literally, I was a cop for 11 years. I wrote a report that would have covered a situation almost identical to this, like, I don't know, 100+ times. Yeah. Right. Like, it's a 5-minute report. The guy got in my face. I put my hand on his chest. I pushed him away. He tried to knock my arm away. I set him down. I waited for backup to arrive, and we put him into handcuffs. We secured him in the cars. Blah, 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 blank, boom, done. And yeah, it's a sergeant that says, oh, cool. Right. Okay, you wrote the report. That's it. It's done.
So for me, because I'm not as smart as Mike is, I'm a C student, Chrissy, at best. And when I wrote a report, and I'm a very visual guy, right? So I like to see things. So when I speak, I like to speak as if you could see what's going on. So when I type the same way. And I use things like, the suspect then tore his shirt off, similar to the way Hulk Hogan would do before entering the ring. And I would type these in my reports, and it would almost always get rejected. But then when I go to court, I don't even care. I would just say that and not read my report. But they would reject that report saying, hey, you can't say he ripped his shirt off like Hulk Hogan entering the ring. You need to reword that. Or they would say, and you spelled Hogan wrong. You misspelled. So yes, all these reports can be sent back several times. A lot of things that people don't understand is you're writing these reports at the end of a very long day, and there might be other people in line waiting to use that computer. So you might be rushed. There might be calls coming in from detectives that are distracting you. You might be typing this report and another call comes in that you have to go take care of, and you have to come back and finish it. So there's always going to be misspellings, and there's always going to be punctuation issues. And that is why it goes to a sergeant. And then the sergeant will send it to a lieutenant, and the lieutenant will send it to a captain. And then the lieutenant is trying to the sergeant is trying to make lieutenant. So he's going to reject it with a whole bunch of red marks to show everybody how smart he is.
The only time my report would make it past a desk boss for the shift is never. Like, that would be like, this is and it would be after the fact. I mean, it's going to get approved or denied that shift. Like, the fact that it made it up the chain at all is like,
And the feedback was more detail. And then they take issue with the very detail that Matthew put in it, but that was also corroborated by the video, by other officers who were there. And so as you kind of like unpack this, you start to see like this, they needed someone to throw under the bus to quiet the mob so that their city wouldn't burn down anymore.
Exactly. That's 100% what's going on, because the leadership is full of cowards, right? And so everybody's trying to climb that political ladder, and now you have a whole bunch of people that are like, this doesn't look good to the city manager. This doesn't look good to the city mayor. We need to fix this right now. And they're just trying to save their own ass for later on in life. And they can do whatever they want, Chrissy. I mean, that you literally are fighting David and Goliath. They can make things up on you. I mean, when I was getting fired for opening up my distillery, no, I wasn't brewing on duty, anybody. But when I got fired, they realized that firing him for unbecoming of an officer for opening a distillery might not work. So what they did was went through other body camera footage from other incidents in a random body camera check. And in one instance, in my car alone by myself, when I accidentally left the camera running, I said, God, I hate people. And they forced me to go to anger management for I think it was like 5 weeks. Once a week for 5 weeks. They took my gun and my badge away, and I had to go to anger management for saying God, I hate people months before, months after this had been on body camera. So they're going to do things like that. It's a really uphill battle, and I hope that more podcasts, more media outlets will speak up on this and not be so silent. And if you're in these live chats, guys, please go follow Clear Officer Dages. Follow that.
Say it right, man.
I'm not going to because it's a thing right now. But if you'll go there and follow it and leave some comments, because Chrissy, I know that it's inspiring, right? And like, you're going to get beat down day in and day out from the things that you hear. So any good word, right, feels good.
Very true. Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate the support and the DMs, the positive comments that we get through Instagram. Just people showing up to support us in any way. Like I said earlier, there's a donation link in the link in our bio. You can make a gift to help with getting our legal team ready for court if it goes there. We also made a shirt that I'm wearing that you can buy and show people that you have Matthew Dages' back. So it really has a huge impact, and we appreciate this groundswell of support that we're getting.
Is there any positive momentum right now? Do you have anything that's good that's on your side?
I do, actually. A couple of quick updates on the case. So, people are starting to get loud, and agencies are starting to get loud about the misconduct, not just of La Mesa Police Department, but of the DA in San Diego, Summer Stephan. So most recently, just a couple weeks ago, 5 agencies sent a letter to our Attorney General here in the state of California, requesting an investigation into the DA's handling of Matthew Dages' case. Because one thing we haven't touched on, and I think it's just going to blow your minds and your listeners' minds, is that so Matthew Dages, his incident with this individual was May 27th. This individual was arrested for assaulting a police officer. We all saw him do that. We all heard him admit to that. The DA declines to file charges against the individual in that case. Now, less than 3 months after that incident, the same suspect leads San Diego police on a felony high-speed vehicle pursuit chase through the city. He weaves through traffic. He crashes his car twice. He totals his car, and then he bails on foot. So the San Diego Police Department sends a report to the DA requesting that they charge him with a felony evasion, and the DA declines to charge the suspect.
What?
Can you believe that? And so
who is this suspect? I mean, is this dude like fucking the DA's daughter or something? Like, what kind of fucking power does this guy have?
Well,
like, why is he untouchable?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can all be honest here, right? The DA does not want to muddy up her star case in this weak case against my husband. So that's why she's not charging him. But it's like, that's an abuse of discretion. If any one of us 3 after this podcast go out and lead police on a felony chase, we're going to jail and we're getting charged. So why is this person getting special treatment? And it just goes to show that the case against my husband is not about facts. It's not about holding people accountable. It's about political posturing. This DA, her election year is in 2022. Right. And so she's really trying to appeal to these like moderate, middle of the road, woke voters by showing them that she's progressive. She'll prosecute a cop. And it's like, by all means, police accountability, I support it, but that is not the same thing as demonizing or villainizing an officer for doing his job, just because the mob told you so. Going by, mob rule instead of rule of law. So that's a really big development in our case that we're sounding the alarm on, because it's just unacceptable. This villainization of police officers, and then this coddling and protecting of criminal activity.
And you talk about the mob mentality. We're allowed to have a mob mentality ourselves. And I think up until now, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, that I feel like what I get to see now is that cops are speaking out and people are getting louder. There are people getting fired because of principle and what they believe in, and they're standing up for what they believe in, and they're putting freedom over pensions, and they're putting freedom over a 6-figure bribe, right? You're putting what's right over money and all those things. And I love to see it. But listen, you're in the wolf pack. We've got 280 on the YouTube, and plus we got a whole bunch more on the Facebook watching us right now. Look, guys, Clear Officer Dages on your Facebook, right? Get on the social media for what is it? What's the police department?
La Mesa Police Department.
Go to La Mesa Police Department on Instagram. We did this with Chicago, and they ended up turning the comments off because so many of you guys just started commenting on there. Go on their pictures. Start a sting. We can be a mob role just as well.
I'm about ready to be really focused on La Mesa PD for a little while.
Oh, I'm going ham, baby. I'm gonna go all in, because you know what? I love when leaderships. I know that most of the leadership in a lot of these upper managements in these big cities, I know that they're all pieces of shit.
Hey, dear La Mesa Police Administration, you pieces of shit. You cowardly, spineless, weak-bellied, terrible, horrific leaders that are so weak. You let a 3-year-old hashtag freaking toddler campaign push you over. I pray to God that you are out of leadership as soon as humanly possible, and that people like Officer Dages and people with integrity like them are the ones that take over. And I hope that you are locked up for being your turd selves as soon
I
as
think
possible.
I think we need to make, and if Bolstered Media is listening,
No one
they
paid me
usually
to say
do,
that.
I think what we need is a whatever that DA. What's that DA's name?
District Attorney Summer Steffen in San Diego.
I think we need to do like a Summer Steffen shirt, and the proceeds of that shirt go to the campaign of Dages. If Bolster Meter, if anybody's creative in the lines, like we have a Lori Lightfoot makes us soft shirt.
Summer makes me softer than Lori Lightfoot.
Summer, if you guys got something creative in there, we'll try to make a shirt, and we'll try to raise some money for Dages, Viva la Dages. Because this is really brocked up, you know what I mean?
What happened with Dages doesn't stay in Dages, though. We gotta let people know what's going on.
Somebody wants to know the Superior Court case number.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but I can certainly get it to you guys.
Yeah, just go to follow at Clear Officer Dages on Instagram or Facebook, and then send some private messages. You're really quick to respond. You guys are doing a great job on social media, and we're going to try to help out on our end. I'm glad that this case got brought to us. Did you guys have any other podcasts lined up? Do you have any media on this? Are you guys going out on the news? How is the word getting out other than this?
The same polite persistence that got me on this podcast, I'm using on anyone who has a platform that will give me the opportunity to speak out. So, we're open to all media and podcast opportunities. The law enforcement community has been so wonderful to us and to really lifting up our story. So it's, friends and supporters like you that have just been a huge and tremendous help for us. So we're looking for more of that, always open to going on podcasts and additional media segments. I mean, I always tell my husband, like, we're not going to stop. We're going to take this to the top, and we're going to get our victory. And then we're going to turn around and help other police families who are targeted and in battles like we've been.
So can we post the URL for that on there on the YouTube? Can we post the URL, Mike?
We did.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah, it's in the comments, and I'll post it in the permanent comments too when it's all said and done. Early on in this conversation, you said that the end game was obviously to get this overturned and get your husband's job back. How does he feel about going back to work for La Mesa PD? Should that happen? Is it like gets his job back, walks in, and then turns in his stuff immediately again and goes, well, thanks for the fun year and a half. That was great. Now I will move on. Is that the like? What's the perspective there?
He gets reelected. He gets back in the police department, and they're like, "You have to get a vaccine." He's like, "I'm not doing it," and then they fire him again. I just kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, well, his biggest passion and purpose in life is being a police officer. He loves it, and so he's so anxious to get back in uniform. If that's with La Mesa, great. He says he's going to go 10-8 and just keep doing what he does, which is preventing crime and keeping the community safe. But I think the overarching goal is obviously to get him in uniform at a better agency, one agency that has their officers back. So probably a sheriff's department somewhere. And we're even thinking California is just not the place for law enforcement families to be backed by politicians, by the community. So our eyes are now wide open. Just get him back in uniform and in a safe and agency that has their officers' backs.
What he needs to do is go to a modeling agency. That's where he needs to go.
Yeah. What's that workout routine like? I get
every
on
day.
that.
Yeah, every day.
And I love his hair. He's got beautiful hair.
He is just gonna love hearing you say that.
How big is let me ask you this. How big is that how big is his gun? You know what I mean? So you got a big gun, he's got a large cannon. What's up?
He's a big guy. I mean, 6'4". Okay. Yeah.
He's a big guy. We'll take it. My wife says my gun is pretty. She never says it's big or anything cool. She says you have a real pretty gun, honey, and I don't know how to take that. But having you say he's a big guy, I get what you're saying.
It's all about
there.
the shot
Good
placement.
Good for him.
It's all about the shot.
It's all about the shot placement. Hey, we appreciate you coming on, and we're gonna try to get behind this, and we're gonna try to help you guys out. Again, go follow Clear Officer Dages, however you want to say it, doesn't matter. Dages. And then, if you get, a lot of you guys are drinking bros here in the comments, head over to American Party Podcast, send them some messages. Let's see if we can get her on American Party Podcast, because they were on Fox News on Tucker Carlson here recently. And everybody in here watches those shows as well.
Have you been on any major media outlet like that yet, Chrissy, with a Fox News or something like that?
Primetime is my goal. If you guys can help me get there, that would just be life-changing.
Have you done anything with the Hodge twins?
No, they actually did a video against us, which was really interesting. So Officer Tatum kind of rebutted that and kind of shut that down.
Oh, interesting.
But no, I haven't interviewed with them. I've done like Newsmax, I've done OAN, I've done like local news here in San Diego, but I'm trying to take this to the very top. So primetime Fox would just be a huge get for us.
Okay. Well, we'll try to get you in contact with Dan Holloway, Ross Patterson, and try to get you over on the network. If you are watching, please hammer that like button. Give us a share. Go to iTunes, because that is where we are able to monitor kind of how the show is going. iTunes is the overwhelming rating, if you will. Like, I don't know why Spotify doesn't count or anything else, but it's all about those iTunes. So if you head over to iTunes, give us a like, a comment, download whatever it is that keeps us up on these charts, and we can keep having guests like Chrissy on here to raise awareness and to back up the police. And you guys keep speaking up out there. We love this, man. I see a movement. I see in some momentum, people like Chrissy pushing back on this bullshit leadership, on these assholes that are just doing things for clout, for political gain. And we just appreciate it. We love it.
Yeah, we gotta stay committed to the truth. Like that, people aren't perfect. Officer Dages isn't perfect. I'm not perfect. Tansey's not perfect. Chrissy's perfect. Everybody else in this conversation is definitely not perfect. But everyone, like, not everyone's right all the time, but the truth is always the truth. It's a non-changing factor. It is what it is. And in this case, the is so abundantly clear. And the fact that it's been tried to be covered up, tried to be pushed away by the department, tried to be assuaged by the department to appease people who are not committed to the truth. They're committed to a different narrative for different reasons of power and politics, is telling. And we need to be committed to that, because if we lose that, in fact, a lot of the things that we're talking about in this whole episode, a commitment to the truth, a commitment to back officers who are doing their job with integrity and consistency and honesty, people that are have free speech, speaking your mind, speaking truth, and being free to do so, even as an officer. This is important because we can't let police departments and local governments bully people around, even their employees. We can't tolerate that. And this is a battle worth fighting. And these things we need to take to the hill on. There are hills worth going to battle on. And I truly believe, after looking at this is one of those hills. We can't let a minor incident be blown up in a way to disparage and ruin someone's life for the sake of political gain. We just can't tolerate that. And so please support this campaign with Clear Officer Dages, and hopefully Tansey and I and this show can continue to be a voice for some semblance of common sense to stand up for that.
You know, when they asked us to do this show, Chrissy, when they asked Mike and I to do the show, Drinking Bros, they were like, you guys have to do this with honesty and you have to do it with integrity. But at the same time, you can't be scared. And we know that you and Mike are kind of the guys that'll say what's exactly on your mind, and you're not going to be afraid. And I've always said that I wish that cops weren't such pussies when it came to speaking out. So many cops they'll see something that is wrong in the department. They'll see something that is shady, like when a chief wants you to change a name on a report, or they want you to change the location of the report so that, you know, if it was a rape that happened in downtown, let's write it as in it happened in a different neighborhood because we want to fudge the numbers on where crimes are happening. And cops will just be like, well, I knew it was wrong, but I just did it anyway because I don't want to start any shit with the chief. We need more folks. We need more wives. We need more uncles and brothers and sisters to do exactly what you're doing. Not be a pussy, speak out about the things, not take the bribe under the table and walk away, because the easy way out's always going to be there, right? But doing things the right way for the right reason, even if it's the hard way, is always the right thing to do. And maybe that's what our shirt is. Maybe it's DBAP. Don't be a pussy. Speak up. Get on board with things. Stop letting leadership and stop letting these politicians run us around and throw us under the bus at every corner. Let's start standing up, just like Chrissy's doing here. And I hope people are empowered by exactly what you're doing. I think you're a great wife. It's always weird when a police wife gets on to defend her husband, because you never know how it's going to go. You know what I mean?
I got you. No, but this is the good fight. I can't encourage people enough to stand up, get loud about what's happening, not just in my husband's case, but across the country in policing. We have to get loud. We have to sound the drum and push back on this terrible narrative that they're trying to, paint in broad strokes with all cops.
Well, congratulations, Chrissy. You have made it onto the longest episode of Failure to Stop yet. We've only had 18 episodes. This is the 18th one, but this is the longest one yet, I think, right?
Yeah, and that's why 21.
No, it's not even close.
It's not even close to the longest
You
one?
guys did once at a 2.5 hour one.
No.
Yes.
We did?
Yes.
Never mind. I lied.
We got close. Well, I'm honored to be on. I cannot thank you both enough for covering our story.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on. And guys, there's obviously, like, we could spend hours pouring over the documentation. Follow along on social media, and I'm sure that all of the information out there related to the case you can get a hold of. I do commend Officer Tatum's video on this. It's like a 15-minute breakdown. It's like weird to say go watch somebody else's channel or whatever for something, but honestly, if you're like, I don't want to listen to you guys talk for an hour and a half about this, okay, go watch Tatum talk for 15 minutes. He gives a very clear officer perspective on it with the footage and stuff like that. But follow along with the case. We appreciate you guys, everyone in the Wolf Pack. So guns up, giddy up. We can't stop. We won't stop until they try to stop us, and then it'll be Clear Failure to Stop will be our Instagram. So look for it. Look
Clear Failure to Stop.
Look for it there, man. Honestly, we kind of like obviously smoke and joke a little bit and try to crack jokes. And I think that I would imagine if your husband is a good cop, he's gonna relate to the smoking and joking that we have and not be offended by the fact. I mean, the reality is he's in a predicament here. You're walking through a very difficult time. And so sometimes you can't help but just kind of like try to have a good sense of humor in the midst of that difficulty. It is a very difficult time. I understand that. And so you have our support. And
I think being that this is a very difficult time for you, and you guys are trying to raise money, you're trying to raise awareness. I think a really good idea that just came to my mind is maybe a Clear Officer Dages calendar, much like a firefighter calendar, maybe a little gun.
Yeah.
Haircuts, lots of different pictures. Maybe one of him like shoving like a picture like this, like, ooh, lots of different poses in there. I'd love to see it. I think you could raise a lot of money that way. I'm not going to say I wouldn't hang it on the studio wall in here, but I would think about it for sure.
That's a damn good idea. I mean, we're always open to ideas to raise funds. So I'll move that one to the top of the list.
Yeah, Clear Officer Dages, OnlyFans, only body cams with Officer Dages.
I don't know. We could take some still shots off of that and make our own calendar and just use the funds or something like that to help support. Well, we'll figure something out. But all right, thanks everybody for listening. We have overstayed our welcome on this one, but we appreciate you guys and thanks so much. And we will see you around next week. Stay tuned too for possible Failure to Stop night shift. Don't know how we'll announce it, but you'll be in the know. You'll know when we know.